as well. And just getting that great feedback really did serve me well. And then we had our first contest in March 2018. And me and David went in the evaluation and the international speech. I beat David in the evaluation. I'm always holding on to that victory, David. But David beat me in the international. In fact, I didn't place in the international. It was you, and then it was another member called Parag. And there was only 3 of us, so I think I might have came last that day, which isn't that good. And that was my first experience in the contest.
So how did you turn from not qualifying in that very first round of the contest, and how did you start piecing it together over the years? For the audience who maybe aren't aware, we have 2 biannual contests. So we have 2, the humorous speech and table topics, which is improv speaking, that's in the autumn. And then we have the international speech and evaluation, that's in the March. We're focusing really on Kyle's journey in the international speech. That's where you can become the world champion. So you only get 1 shot per year. And it's only been 3 years since that first shot. So how did things start to come together a little bit more over the next few years for you?
Watching the speakers in the contest. So, for example, what happens after our club contest is we go into the area contest, the division contest. So area best in Glasgow in our case, division best in Scotland in our case, and then it goes all the way up into the UK and Ireland, best in UK and Ireland. And because I was still in the evaluation contest, I was still progressing through the levels, but I was also, while doing that, watching the international very closely. So I was able to learn a lot from yourself, David, and your story. I think it was about your dad that year. Yeah, I was able to learn a lot about what you did, how you connected with the audience. I learned a lot from other competitors who took a bit more of a humorous approach to it. And just taking in all of that data, I began to see a little bit of patterns of who was succeeding and who was not. What were the ingredients they had in their speech? And one of the key ingredients was a personal story. A personal story. And that was the one thing I did not have in my first entry into the international speech contest. So I wanted to make sure for the next year that I would have that personal story in there. And I did, and it got a little bit further. And I just went through that same process again, putting something out there, testing it out, seeing how far I get, and if I get defeated or even if I win, figuring out how I can improve things little bits at a time. Asking myself, what are the other competitors doing better than me? So that second year, there was someone, well, a competitor, and he's still competing, called Jerry in our division in Scotland. And Jerry was a very funny guy. And in the second year I was competing, he had a very funny speech. My speech was a little bit more serious. It was about my gran. And Jerry succeeded me in that moment. So I realized, okay, I need to add a bit of humor here. So it's just that process of getting beat, figuring out what went wrong, but also winning and figuring out how I can improve as well, which has made these incremental improvements, I would say.